Ladies and gentlemen, the best wrestling podcast around, The Heel Mob.
From Brooklyn to your living room, it's the best podcast to listen to. Morning, even afternoon, hear clever blind girl and a Jew talk about wrestling. They do it 24/7, cause they love to speak on it every week. That's why they are best friends, and they're back once again for some wrestling talk. So sit back, relax, it's time for Heel Mobs.
They're not just smart, they're Heel Mobs. They're not just smart, they're Heel Mobs. They're not just smart, they're Heel Mobs.
Ladies and gentlemen, fans and friends, we are back once again. I am the custodian of charisma, the ophthalmologist of optimism. I am the hyperactive heel and your messiah of mischief. She is the sultan of sarcasm, the sorceress of sass, the blonde ballbuster, and everybody's favorite coat. I am Brady. She is Danielle. Together, we are the best friends in all the land. And with us, as always, he is saltier than the sea. He's the contractor of comedy. He's everybody's favorite curmudgeon king, Salty John Sosis. We are the Heel Marks. Welcome to another edition. Thank you to all for tuning in the future. Maybe you're listening to this while you take a bubble bath. Maybe you're listening to this solely when you are on your way to work. Maybe you only listen to us while you're taking a good old-fashioned number deuce. Very possible. Either way, thank you for inviting us into your bathroom, kitchen, car, wherever we are. We've got some PPVs or PLEs to talk about, depending on which one you're going to. Guys, we just had a pay-per-view last night. Should we talk about that one first? And then after that, move on to where royalty was crowned?
Whatever your heart desires, Brady.
I don't want to hear that because you don't care about heart desires, Danielle.
Yeah.
Tell me what to do.
Let's talk about, that's true. Let's talk about last night because it's fresh in our brains.
All right. And speaking of royalty, a king has dropped his crown. So everyone pick it up and give it to him. MJF is back, people. MJF is back, and wow, what a
shitty tattoo.
Needed.
Oh
yes, you got a nice little ink there.
Nice,
very cool tattoo.
What?
But shut up about the fucking tattoo. Jesus Christ, MJF is back. What a promo! What a return! What a pop! And as I was trying to say before somebody got ink on her brain, what a much-needed breath of fresh air, just an injection of adrenaline that AEW has been missing. MJF obviously was gone because of multiple injuries, looks 100%, looks jacked and ready to rock. I'm just really happy to see him back. He was so missed, and his presence just does so much for the company as a whole.
He's very hairy now.
Like, he's just the it factor. He has it. Yeah. He's the guy.
I like they came out with the jacket. I like that. I will say one thing.
The Triple H jacket?
Yeah, I like that. I like the new look going on. I like that he still had the Burberry in the back. I will say.
But no scarf. I
will say I felt it was a little weird. Well, yeah, he didn't have a scarf because he left it in his Long Island house. As soon as they showed that video, I was like, that's a Long Island house if I've ever seen one. I will say I thought it was a little weird they did it so soon in the pay-per-view. Like, I was like, oh, we're doing it right after this match. I was like, oh, okay. Like, that, it was very fast and very hot. I was like, oh, we're just doing this. I was like, so now what are we expecting? So I thought that was a little weird. I thought he was coming out. I had two things. I thought he was coming out for the last match, the Anarchy bullshit match, or I thought he was going to come out at Forbidden Door because it's Long Island. And I was like, what a better place to come than Forbidden Door or Long Island, your hometown. That's where I thought he was going to come back.
Yeah. I mean, makes sense. But I
this was fine.
Really just don't think AEW could wait anymore, honestly.
That's fair. Yeah, totally fair. Like I said, it was just the placement that was a little off to me I'm like,
no.
We're doing this right now.
Right. And that takes me to probably, it's not a big criticism, but just an observation that could be on somebody's pro list or con list. This pay-per-view was very for lack of a better term, overbooked, where it just
Silly.
so much happened.
Yeah.
We had so many returns. We had so many interferences. So
Yeah.
many, you know what I mean? So there was just a lot. And I think they did want to end the night the way they did, with the Elite celebrating with Jack
Fine.
Perry
Yeah.
in all his scapegoat glory.
Yeah.
And so I think if they're looking at which moments are we going to prioritize, how are we going to do this? I think they look at MJF and he looks at MJF as saying, well, listen, I don't actually care where you put me. Everyone's going to be talking about me when the show's over. So you want me to fucking go on at 8:30, 8:45, this match ends and I'll come out? Sure, let's fucking go. I don't care.
Right. Yeah.
I'm the show.
Yeah. There was a lot going on. I was like, oh, this has an interference and this has an interference and you get an interference. I was like, what is happening? I was like, there was a lot going on in this. A lot. It didn't take away from my enjoyment from it, though.
Right.
It definitely didn't do that.
Yeah, it felt like it was a 5-year anniversary. It felt like they were celebrating more than trying to finish stories. It felt like that's what they were doing. So I was kind of like, okay, I didn't hate it. I actually thought it was a fun 5 hours as opposed to like a lot of the other things I watch from AEW, which feels like a grueling 5 hours. Although the way it started with that fall from Ospreay, I was like, uh-oh, this is not great.
Oh.
Yeah.
When he fell on his head, I was like, this is a
part. Though,
I mean,
I can't believe that was the opener.
Right.
I was like,
I can actually.
That's fine. I mean,
but also like, and as you said, like to your point in terms of early in the show, like they wanted this match to somehow be the catalyst that brings Adam Cole out to the ring because of his relationship with Roddy Strong. Correct. And then, so really it was like this match combined with the MJF opener where they're like, let's just get this, let's start the show. And you always want to start the show with a banger, with a potential match of the night, one-on-one matchup for a title.
Will landed on his head scared me though, man. I got scared. I was like, you landed right on your noggin.
I mean, luckily, since I didn't watch the pay-per-view live, I had to watch it this morning. Luckily, before I had watched the match or this spot in particular, I had seen video of Will Ospreay doing the Mercedes Moné dance in the backstage, like after the show. Yeah. So it does seem like he's in good spirits. He's good. He's
that's
healthy.
Part of his
unless he's all knocked up and he's just goofy dancing.
His CTE,
Imagine that's how Jeff Hardy started. Like nobody fucking knew this guy was just concussed. Yeah, waving his arms and doing those weird gyrations.
I mean, maybe that's it. Maybe you just figured it out. You cracked the code,
bro.
Just
crack the case. Jeff Hardy, I'm on to you, bro.
Oh man, I gotta pass over my Detective Dan to you now.
That's right. The only let's see, the only dancer that was not concussed when he came with his dance was Prince Nana. He's the only one. Everyone else, Daniel Garcia, I'm on to you too, bro.
They're all just
landed on your head a couple times, all of a sudden start shaking. I'm on to you, bro.
It's the concussed choreography. That's what it is.
Concussion choreography. I like it. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, once again, just looking at everything that happened, I mean, it's all over. I mean, you mentioned Will Ospreay. So Will Ospreay is now the AEW International Champion. He has I think he can do it, but he kind of is being tasked with making that championship relevant again, because Orange Cassidy did his thing with it and then it kind of did fall off. Roddy Strong did the best he could, so Will Ospreay kind of has to make that the championship now.
What I feel bad for Roderick Strong is this always happens with him. Whatever group he's in, he's always like the last, and everybody loves him, but he's always like the runt. Like, I know Bobby Fish isn't there anymore, but he's always like the runt of the litter in that one. And I always hate it. And they'll give him titles. They'll give him like, he gets shots and stuff. It's just, you have everyone else and he kind of just is in the background,
But that is the good thing. And I think the genius thing about the new character he kind of created when this kind of happened. He returns, him and Adam Cole are back together, but then all of a sudden Adam Cole starts getting this thing with MJF and it's the hottest thing in wrestling. So they have to lean into that, and Roddy Strong's just still runt left out. So then he creates this almost My Chemical Romance type of character. Just emo Adam! And it's almost playing off of the fact that, that is me. I am a beast in this ring, and I will remind you every time you give me 13 to 15 to 17 minutes in here to prove it to you. But you're right. all my friends are gonna outshine me. All these people are outshining me. So let me just make this my character and let me be that guy.
But he can go. Like watching him and Will Ospreay, like that like finisher sequence was fucking fire. Like he's
Fire.
good. Like both of
Yeah.
them.
So good.
So good.
So good. I mean, let's see. Oh, speaking of returns, Juice Robinson came back. We mentioned
Oh, so
interferences. This was, of course, one of them. I was just the other day thinking to myself how much I miss Juice Robinson.
I forgot.
Like,
Was I talking to you about Juice? There was someone I was talking to. I'm like, where's Juice
I don't think it
Robinson?
was me.
It
Yeah, I don't
wasn't
think it was
you?
me, but I
It
was
wasn't us on
thinking around the
ROH?
same
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
I mean, he got hurt a while ago, so that was why he was
Yeah.
gone, and that's kind of why Jay and the Guns kind of really started pairing up and doing their thing. I think Jay and the Guns have great chemistry and have done great for what they were as a trio, Bang Bang Gang. Juice joining is only going to make this group stronger. And I think will help reinvigorate how serious this group is portrayed because AEW is very inconsistent with how they handle these guys in particular. How they handle the Guns, how they handle Jay White. So hopefully getting Juice back in the fold will kind of just make it more apparent that you've got yourself an A+ stable here.
Jay White's a little overrated for me. I like him, but I just think he's a little overrated.
How is Juice overrated? I never
Not
hear anyone
Juice,
talk about
Jay
how great
White.
Juice is.
Jay White.
Oh,
Jay White.
Jay
Jay White.
White. Oh, okay.
No, I love Juice. I love Juice Robinson. I think Juice Robinson I think his personality is what gets me. Like Juice, yeah. Juice went to New Japan and just reinvented himself and became fucking awesome. Like yeah. No, I love Juice.
I mean, he just started talking, I think.
Yeah.
Like really.
No,
He went
I
to New
like Juice
Japan.
Robinson a lot.
Yeah. So much personality too. I just hope
yeah. Yeah. No.
doesn't
Jay
do
White.
anything.
Jay White falls a little flat for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
What'd you make of the Orange Cassidy Trent Beretta match?
I thought that match went on for way too long.
A little bit.
It went on for a little too long. I didn't care about this match. And I love OC, you know that, but I didn't really care about this match. This was, I don't want to say a pee break because it wasn't a pee break match, but it went on a little too long. It was a fine match, but yeah, it went on a little too long for me. I was just
this
like,
match was one, like you were like, you don't care about it. I did go in caring about it, but I was very scared that they were going to do this. See, I thought this was going to be a great opportunity to let Trent Beretta actually, give his heel turn a little adrenaline, pull off a dirty win, cheat to win, get a cheap win off of his former friend Orange Cassidy and establish himself as a player now. But instead, they turn him heel just so Orange Cassidy has another tool to kind of make him look bigger and better. And just Orange Cassidy is always going to rise to the occasion. The more interesting thing is going to be what happens next. Because they've been kind of trying to tease that Don Callis wants Orange Cassidy. Don Callis was talking to Lexi backstage and said that after watching the Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta match, a Don Callis family contract will be presented. I think he wants us to think that he's presenting it to Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy will, of course, say no, but it seems like Trent Beretta is probably going to be the guy that gets that contract.
I was watching it at a bar, and the guy next to me was like, why is Don Callis out here so much? I'm like, because he has a whole posse. I'm like, you're with Don Callis. You're with Don Callis. I was like, everybody's with Don Callis at this point. And they were like, is Will Ospreay with Don Callis? I was like, Kyle Fletcher's with Don Callis too. I was like, everybody's with Don Callis.
Yeah, and he calls the Don Callis family. It's like fucking Olive Garden, though. It's like everyone walks in. If you're here, you're family.
That's what Shane Taylor should be doing, just swooping everybody up.
There's the beginning of the match. You kind of also get a good look at how out of touch Tony Khan is again with the audience. He thought he tries to touch them with the wrong thing. So like with Orange Cassidy's music, he's playing the new music, and then he stops and goes to Orange Cassidy's old music, and the audience kind of pops, but really doesn't give a shit. They're kind of like, okay.
Yeah, and we were just like, oh, okay.
Tony Khan thought it was going to be so much bigger than that, and it was like, nope, we don't care.
and he comes out with a black t-shirt also, which I like the small touch, trying to establish this is not the Orange Cassidy that you guys are used to. This is, I'm pissed. This is personal. I'm coming to mean business. So I almost feel like they wanted that whole moment because they could have just played the old theme instead of the new theme, and that I think would have gotten a better pop.
Yeah,
Would have
definitely.
gotten what they wanted. Instead, I think they were trying to throw a little storytelling where they're instituting this isn't this Orange Cassidy. This isn't the Wet Hot American Summer theme Orange Cassidy. This is the old Orange Cassidy. But it's like the old Orange Cassidy was the fucking same. We've never seen this black t-shirt straight
Right.
ass kicker. So like if you were gonna do that, maybe like a badass song that Tony Khan contracted for
Yeah.
this moment,
Yeah.
akin to when the Guns did it with Patiently Waiting, 50 Cent, like
Oh,
a
that was
one-time
so
only
good.
type of. That was so good.
So
That
good.
entrance still lives rent-free in my head.
100%.
So good. I'm so mad that 50 Cent is like a good businessman and wouldn't just give that to them for like, listen, do this, do that, promote my liquor, and then we're all good. Tell people to download the Stars app so they can watch Power.
Yeah.
But 50 Cent is obviously not giving that away for anything cheap. But what an entrance. What a fucking entrance.
Yeah.
Speaking of cool entrances, what did you guys think of the Adam Copeland Baruti throwback entrance?
That happened. Everyone was like, the Brood. It was fun watching it at a bar, I will say that. It was funny because at that point everyone just kept chanting Gangrel, and I was like, yo, if Gangrel comes out right now.
What out of curiosity, since you seem to like it, why don't you throw a plug? What bar did you go to? Because I like bars that show wrestling.
Oh, it's called Murphy's Sports Bar. It's a newer bar in Astoria.
Okay.
They play everything. Like they're really trying to. They play UFC. They play WWE. All wrestling. They play hockey.
So was wrestling
any sport.
battling with like? Did they have the basketball playoffs at the same time?
They did have the
as
basketballs,
wrestling?
but wrestling dominated. Like my friend called ahead of time and was like,
okay.
which one's going to be on? Which one are you going to have the sound on for? And he's like, we're going to have the sound on for wrestling. So 2 TVs had the basketball and that was next to us, and every other TV was wrestling. And there was a lot of people there. It was fun.
It's fun watching wrestling in bars because you feel that pop, that pop that you miss from the live crowd.
There were those I regret being a wrestling fan people sometimes behind me.
Yes.
Like CM Punk chants started real quick, and I was like,
of course.
God. Or they were like, actually, when Gangrel did this in 1973, and I was like, oh, shut up. Like, they were
I will say this. I hate people that chant CM Punk at like
anything
shows that CM Punk's not on in general. Doing it at a bar seems like the lowest you can go. Like, really? We're like, what?
And it wasn't like they did do it at the last match, which okay, whatever. But like they were doing it throughout. And then there was this girl, she must have been 3 sheets to the wind. She was like, you guys, shut it. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. And they all stopped.
That's amazing.
She was like this little girl. She was so drunk. It was so funny. I was like, I'm with her.
That's awesome. You should have bought her a drink out of respect.
I don't think she needed another drink.
Then you should have gotten her a glass of water.
A glass of ice water.
Respect.
Kept her hydrated. Yeah. Yeah. But it was fun in the bar that everybody was like cheering and stuff like that. I thought it was fun seeing it with a bunch of people you don't know, and everyone's cheering and clapping and stuff. I always love when you're like against the other person. Like that's fun too. Like I think everybody wanted Willow to win. I think. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But yeah, this match was very ridiculous and bloody. Yo, Malachi started bleeding real early. I was like, oh.
And just a quick note to what we said earlier in terms of this card being a bit overbooked. This was one of like kind of 3, bloody, gory, just hardcore matches. I've always enjoyed that AEW does give their viewers a nice variety. They give them a little bit of everything. I don't necessarily know they needed 3 matches of this style on one card, on this particular card. But that's not really a complaint. I'm kind of just throwing it out there. Something that occurred to me during this match in particular, the barbed wire steel cage match, which Adam Copeland retained his TNA title. I loved the Gangrel return. I think this is probably the best Gangrel's ever been presented in his entire career.
One thing that I love, that I made note of this because I wanted to make sure I mentioned it on the show. I loved at the end when they were up on the ramp and they're holding, Gangrel and Copeland are holding hands together, and Gangrel puts his hands down and is pointing at Copeland, and Copeland goes, no, come here. And he puts his hand up too, because like Gangrel was showing his respect, but Copeland was like, no, I couldn't do this without you. You raise your hand too.
Right.
I thought that was just such a nice moment. Like, I really like that.
Yeah, but also when, like, okay, I get it for this situation. Edge is he holds the title. They don't want to take the title off him right now, but okay, Edge, when are you going to start putting some guys over? Like,
Yeah.
Come on, enough is enough. Like, all
I was
he's been
surprised he
doing
won.
since he came back is like beating the younger guys that should be getting elevated. He's like he's getting into Jericho
I get that.
territory now.
I mean, I get
we'll
that,
get to
which
that.
is kind of why I disagreed with the decision to really put this title on him in the first place.
Right.
Yeah.
Because now he's in a position where he can't just go putting over the young guys anymore. He can't do that as champion. Bryan Danielson has never won a championship in AEW, which is why the entire time he's been here, he's been able to do the right thing. He gets his wins when he needs them, so he can drop those L's to the people who need them. If you put the title on Copeland, he can't do that right now. So that's why I agree with you, because I disagreed with the decision to do it. In this situation, I did think Adam Copeland would and probably needed to retain. I do love what they did storytelling-wise with the feud, and even a small nod to it in the match when Murphy and Brody teased
I like that.
joining.
I was like,
that was fun.
It was weird to
and
me. And
Malachi looked shook.
It was weird to me for a moment because I was like, are they doing the new Judgment Day? Because that's immediately what everybody would have said. They would have been like, oh, it's a new Judgment Day. But then they turn. I thought that was good. I like that a lot.
But like in the build to this match, especially last week, was Copeland saying, yes, if you beat me, you take my title, I bend the knee, I join House of Black. But if I win, like, he's kind of alluding to the fact that I don't think they really made the deal, but it's more of like, if I beat you, maybe you guys should just embrace your new leader. So I think it could be interesting where they go from here, if maybe the House of Black does need to change and maybe Murphy and Brody do actually follow through. Because it didn't seem like, I mean, maybe they were just selling it, but it didn't seem like Malachi really knew they were going to do that. You know what I mean? It seems like they took it upon themselves. So maybe they take it upon themselves to make an executive decision.
Right.
I do agree with you, John, though, that Adam Copeland has to start putting over some
what I would hope. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say we don't know how much longer he has at this point, so he really has to get to that point soon.
Yeah.
What I would hope is that Tony knew this was going to be an interference fest and wanted to do the Gangrel thing. So it's like, let's let Adam win this, and then we'll give Malachi Black a clean win over him. They're going to have like one more match and give Malachi a clean win, and he'll take the title off him. Like, we want to give a younger guy a clean win. That's the only thing I could hope for. But like Edge, first of all, if you're going to put a title on Edge, let him go after Swerve. Let him go after some of the bigger guys. Let him be at the top. Like, I feel like they're misusing some of the bigger names from WWE. It's how I feel about Sasha. Sasha should be going after should be going after Tony Storm. Like, she shouldn't be going after the TBS title.
I think what Tony does, I think he's a kid playing with toys. He gets very excited. He wants to do all this stuff. And then sometimes he tries to be like, wait, I'm getting too excited. And I think that's the case with Mercedes, is he was like, yeah, she's here. I'm going to put the title on her. Blah, blah, blah. Wait, I keep doing this. Let me take a step back for a second. And that's why he did the TBS and not going after Tony, which makes the most sense, like you said, but he does that all the time. Like, the minute someone big comes, he immediately puts the title on them. So I think with this, he maybe was down from his coke high and was like, okay, let me take a step back. Like, that's the only thing I could think for this.
I mean, he's really just, and it's like, I think track record wise, he's really just not that good at handling
That
the
too.
fresh
Yeah.
WWE talents that he brings
Correct.
in.
Right.
And the truth is he's not the first one. People used to complain about it with TNA all the time too.
Right.
Like it's one of those things where you get a shiny new toy, you do want to show it off, but at the same time, that shiny new toy was only shiny because of what that other company did. What about the companies you shined yourself? What about the toys you shined yourself? You know what I mean?
Yes.
So with Mercedes beating Willow, here's the thing about it, and it's like I don't know what they're doing with Mercedes going forward. I worry that I hope they're planning on turning her heel, like full heel, because babyface Mercedes is just not gonna go well in AEW, especially that they just threw the title at her. But the biggest thing, and it's a good problem to have if AEW is able to pivot properly and use this. For me, though, I care way more about what happened after the match than
Before
Mercedes winning.
before you get into that, I just have to say, I felt like what's his face from Hangover when I was watching Mercedes, I was like, she still got it. Dude, she's so good in the ring. Like that match was so good. Like, regardless of her talk, she's not good at promos. I will say that. I do not think Mercedes
She's
is
not good
at
at baby
talking.
face promos.
Talking at all. Even when she did the press conference, I was like, what are you saying? You're not making any sense. She wasn't making any sense. But that's here nor there. Her wrestling style, she's so good at wrestling. She's good at taking bumps. She's good at selling. That match was so good. In my opinion, it was so good. She's good. So is Willow, but like
it was it was necessary.
Yeah.
Like this match needed to knock people's socks off, needed to shut people's mouths. There couldn't have been a scary
No ring
suicide
rust.
dive botch. There couldn't have been, like it needed to be clean, supreme, and innovative. And this was. That finish was sick.
The finish was sick. Her holding her knee and like holding the knee back and dropping on the knee. Like I was watching and she's still fast. Like
Right. This is Sasha reminding people that, listen, if you list some of your favorite women's matches or even just list your favorite matches, there's a good chance I'm in that top 3 with Bayley. I'm in that top 3 with, you know what I mean? Like she has had classics and she needed another one to remind people why she got paid what she got paid, why she talks as much as she talks, tweets as much as she tweets. And, looks at herself the way
and you gave her a worthless title. Like you gave her a lower tier title going into Wembley when you could have had and they're going with her and Saraya because of like Saraya's the one that almost lost her career because of Mercedes. Like this could have been a headlining women's match for the women's title at Wembley. And now they're probably going to be competing for a lower tier title.
Here's the thing, though. And like the way they did this does hurt the title. And like this is another head shake moment because it's like you guys are playing hot potato with a title that you established so good with Jade. Like Jade started with the streak. This title had a great setup. And then from Statlander's title reign going a bit shorter than it should, Julia Hart getting it when she should, but them really just cooling her down and not actually investing in that. Then you get Willow getting it in the very predictable transitional champion move where it's like, oh, you want her to drop it to Mercedes. So they have not handled the title correctly. With that said, Toni Storm is absolutely killing it, and I don't think they should cut her run short. The story she's telling that has still so many legs and so much more to run short just so they can prop up Mercedes even more. In fact, I think the hate Mercedes is getting and will get for getting this propped up treatment so fast would only be amplified more if she won the world title. So I don't mind the TBS title. I don't look at the TBS title as worthless. And I think she can do good things with it.
I feel like a title versus title match is something that can get her the proper heat. Because the way I'm looking at it is Saraya needs to get her revenge on Mercedes. The perfect place to do it and get her first title win would be at Wembley when she's home. So like you don't want to do that without Mercedes having some title defenses and establishing that she's a threat. So you have to give her a title and you have to have her defended a bunch. I guess the TBS title can get some title defenses. I just don't see it as a real title. I see it as a secondary title that they created because they had an overstocked
that's what Tony does.
And 3 shows. And
Tony does that.
So it's like for your highest paid female superstar or possibly your highest paid star, you gave her a shitty title that you could have used the hatred that people would have for her by elevating her to that top tier title. The way that the way that they hated Roman when they tried to force
I
him
don't
as a
think,
face.
as weird as it sounds, I don't think they want to do too much too quick. They don't want to rush to that because they did invest a lot in her. They have her for a while. So they still want, while they're going to do this title and probably have this title get her to heel status, I still think they want to build up to the big one.
Also, like we said, Tony, when he doesn't know what to do with his wrestlers because he fails at storyline sometimes, he just throws in a title, hence the TBS title, which is fine.
Right.
But I understand what you're saying with Mercedes, but why would you take it off of Tony? Tony's way too hot right now to be taking it off
Way
her
too hot.
just for Mercedes. Like, I understand she's the highest paid and like you want to go business at, but Tony's so hot right now. Like
Yeah, they have to ride that.
you
They
have to
can't-
ride,
they
yeah, you
can't
got to
let
ride
him.
that out, like before giving it to Mercedes, or if even Mercedes takes it from Tony. I mean, I could see
But
Mariah taking
what
it.
is it? What is it about Tony? Tony's gimmick works with or without the title.
Right,
Like
but
I agree with
Tony's
you.
gimmick is what's getting her over.
I agree, but like she's being rewarded with that with a title.
Right. They committed already.
They're
It's one of those
committed
things
already,
where like
right.
this is once again going back and like, do we put the title on Tony? Maybe not. Because maybe she's like the only person on this roster that doesn't actually need it. She can just shine without it. And then there's the argument for that. But they did it already. They
Yeah,
committed
it's
to
already
her. So
done.
now
No,
you
but
kind of,
that's
yeah.
it. It's like, okay, so how long can Tony? How long does this gimmick last with Tony as champion? Well, okay, we've seen it for a little bit. It's kind of working. Do we take the title
Kind
off
of.
her and then
It's
make
really
her chase
working.
it again? And now we go to it's working, but I mean, how long is it going to work before they need to have her chasing again with the gimmick or turning it like you can have Mariah May turn on her, costing her the title.
Right.
And now you've added a new chapter where she loses the title, she keeps the gimmick, she has a new chapter, and then
And
she
that
keeps
stuff's
the gimmick and
potentially
goes
on the way. There's
Yeah,
no need to
that's
rush to
on-
it.
that's
though.
pretty
I'm
much
saying,
on
like
the
they're
way.
my point is the next chapter she needs to that title needs to go to somebody that can take it into Wembley. And you know what? It might be, I mean, she's Australian, so I don't know if it makes sense for her to bring it to Wembley, but it might be. I mean, she might take it to Wembley. I just know Saraya is probably headlining a title match at Wembley, probably against
New Zealand.
Mercedes, just because they have a story there. I
I
feel like
just-
it should be for a bigger title.
I mean, I just feel that, right, like you said, Tony doesn't need the title, but like Brady said, she already has it, so let's just go with it. And also, like, she's constantly defending her title. She's not one of these people that have her title and she's not doing it. She's defending it constantly. So it's okay to have Mercedes have this TBS title for now because Tony's also been there. Like, we've talked about like, oh, you're just always giving WWE champions like immediately titles. Like, okay, they did it, but at least it's not the higher up one because we have Tony and Tony's working right now. This gimmick is working. She's wrestling Serena Deeb. She's wrestling all these other wrestlers and putting on great matches. So why just take that away to give it to Mercedes?
Yeah, I don't think they need to rush to that yet.
I don't think they need. And
do-
also, we did. Sorry, Brady. We did talk about how Tony Khan doesn't know how to do storylines, so we don't know as soon as he gets rid of the thing with Tony Storm, like gets rid of the title with Tony Storm, we don't know what he's gonna do with her because he's not good at storylines.
But to Tony's credit, I did like the storyline that happened as soon as this match ended. The teases have been there, but here we go. Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway turning on Willow Nightingale. If you look into the match, you can kind of maybe see that Chris Statlander and Stokely actually cost Willow the title by kind of distracting the ref and playing a part in that. So I'm very interested in this. Stokely is one of the more entertaining managers in the industry, in my opinion. He himself, when he was asked backstage by Lexi, hey, why'd you do it? First off, I'm a hater. Okay, that's why. This was only a matter of time she had it coming. So, like, you gotta respect a short king who's keeping it 100 at all times.
I love when Chris Statler made her the muscle at the end while Willow was on the ground and he kissed her bicep. I fucking love that.
Yes.
I was like, Stokely's the
Yes.
best.
And this is a page turn that I think was needed because it did become a point where, like, at first back when this started, where Stokely loves Chris Statlander, thinks Willow is like just not necessary. She's just here. They almost felt like a brother-sister thing. Meanwhile, they were kind of like almost competing for Chris, but it just kind of almost they nestled into this, I don't know, cutesy, funny type of thing with the three of them, where Stokely kind of turned almost a little baby face because now he's helping Willow, and they're all just a happy family, and it's like we lost Stokely in that. So now we see Stokely, we didn't lose him. He's been influencing Chris Statlander the entire time, and he finally got through to her. He finally got her to cross over to the dark side. The only thing I don't like, and this is a small one, but wrestling does it repeatedly. I hate when somebody decides to turn on their friend or partner or whatever by costing them a championship. Because if Chris Statlander helped Willow beat Mercedes Moné and then turned on her, wouldn't that put her in line for that title?
Yes.
So, like, that's the only thing I hate. I hate that heel logic where it's
That
like,
makes
because
sense.
as I said, in the match, you can kind of look and you see Chris and Stokely did kind of cost Willow the title.
I don't think it matters.
Why?
No?
I think if anything, if you're eligible for, if you're next in line for the title, it doesn't matter who the champion is. But
I don't think Chris Statlander's next in line for the title. I think if Chris
that's what I'm
Statlander
saying.
attacked the champion, she would be next in line, especially if it was a personal feud, because then Willow would be like, oh, you want to come for me? Fine, my title's on the line. Bring the belt, ref, because she's a babyface.
I mean, that's
so they would do that.
possible, but I mean, I don't know. I just
like now she took out her friend, cool, but I don't think Chris Statlander is any closer to the TBS title, the title she lost, you know, a while ago. So
Yeah.
that logic wise, I mean,
A
but
year
it's
ago.
it's heels.
Oh,
Heels
no,
do it all
she
the
won.
time.
well, if anything, I see them now having a number one contenders match, and Statlander might win.
Okay.
Oh,
it's
maybe.
possible.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Another I guess turn it would be, because I guess Brian Keith, he's pretty much been babyface since he walked in, but he's joining the learning tree. So welcome Brian Keith to the dark side, new heel in the house.
Bro.
But yeah, the bounty hunter has joined Chris Jericho, and I don't fucking know. I don't know, man.
Nobody-
Chris Jericho has to start helping these people.
Nobody in the bar knew who he was except me. he revealed his mask and everybody was silent, and I was like, Brian Keith.
Yeah.
And nobody else knew who he was. Yeah, Jericho looked awful. I don't know why he's wearing tights. Put your pants back on. Stop that. This match was too long. I don't get why Chris Jericho is the champ. I don't get any of this. I really don't. I don't understand. I don't understand. I will say, during this match, Big Bill almost like died. Like when he landed on that table and what is it called? The legs were like up. If he was like a half an inch over, that would have broke his spine.
Yeah. Speaking of almost dying, just real quick, back to Copeland. Bro, he does not need to be doing elbow drops off the steel cage, especially if he's not doing the elbow drop. Like, that was so scary watching him basically do like a foot stomp. Like, what?
He like landed
I thought he
on
wasn't going to be able to get up. Yeah. Like, that thing was scary to see.
When he was laying there, I was making sure his legs were straight and nothing was bent the wrong way.
Right.
I was scared. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, that spot, it was a good spot, but it was scary because Bill was literally like, his arm was here and it was like through him. And I was like, man, if he was a half an inch over, that would have broke his spine.
Yeah.
It was it was
scary. Some scary spots.
Yeah, the dice thing was silly. I don't know. I just felt all this was very silly. This is a very silly pay-per-view, but not in 100% bad way. It was just silly. It was a lot of me laughing.
Listen, everyone knows that I'm a Jericho guy, but it has been really hard for me to like say that with my whole chest recently. It's just, and it's not even like he's it's just at this point, I can't think of that many people who worked with Chris Jericho and a year later are bigger stars than they were. It just doesn't happen. It should have happened. And he kind of, for a while in the beginning, was priding himself on that. But you look back and it's like MJF kind of, but MJF was going to do this no matter what. As he said in his promo, MJF made MJF.
Right.
So the program with Chris Jericho was fun, but Jericho didn't, enhance MJF. He didn't elevate him. Sammy Guevara kind of has himself to blame for not getting elevated. He's always getting suspended and kind of stuff. Jake Hager was with him from the start, never ever got elevated. Like Jake Hager, where'd he go? You know what I
where is he?
mean?
In catering.
So like I hope that Jericho with Big Bill and Brian Keith can be different than the other stables where people kind of just are with Jericho. It gets them TV time, it gets them matches, but eventually the story runs its course and they kind of just all have to disperse and start from scratch, as opposed to actually being elevated from being in a big time stable with a big time name.
Right.
So, I'm at this point, I'm like, I'll believe it when I see it. Like, I'm glad that Brian Keith now has something to do on AEW television.
Yeah.
I'm glad that he's going to get more exposure. Brian Keith, Big Bill, and Jericho can be a fun trio. I just hope that these guys actually benefit from working with the great Chris Jericho. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
I think Jericho, if he's not letting someone beat him, which he has done, and he's pretty good at that when the time is up, but it seems like he lets somebody beat him, and then 2 weeks later he's holding another title from someone else. So it's like it just at some point he needs to stop. He needs to stop and do what Daniel Bryan's doing. Just start
100%.
Just play around with let people, like, I understand what people were saying to him in the beginning, which was like, you're losing too much, which means if everybody's beating you, you don't have any value. It doesn't mean anything if everybody's beating you. It's not a big deal to beat Chris Jericho if everybody's beating Chris Jericho. But at the same time, if you're beating everybody and you're the champion all the time, it's hard to believe that anybody's that good if you're beating everybody.
And there was a time where Jericho really understood that, because like he lost to JTG clean.
Yeah.
And I don't even think it was on like Raw or SmackDown. I think it was on like a fucking Superstars or something. So like Jericho understands this, and he used to really enjoy putting over the young guys. Like he would always be the one to tell Vince, "Hey, this guy has to beat me. No, he has to beat me. We can make him."
But
he was talking in interviews and he was so passionate. Right. And now here he is, and it's like years later, and this is really when the company needs that old Jericho. They need you to walk around and be like, this guy needs to win. Let me put him over. And instead you're kind of like, hey, this guy's good. Why don't you put him in a group with me and we'll have him worship me the same way all my other stable guys have just worshiped me. We'll just do that. We'll call it something different, but we'll have them do that. Cool? Good. And it's like, you know what I mean? So hopefully Brian Keith and Big Bill worshiping Chris Jericho will help him out. But just like in the past, this is like what, stable 3, stable 4? I haven't seen it yet, man.
Who's come from
anymore? So
who's come from there? That's really he's in.
I mean, it's interesting because you look at some other stables, even in WWE, and like people are just elevated. Look at. And it's not even stables that were put with somebody that had, like, you just look at how people are booked from stables. You look at the Shield, you look at the Wyatt family, you look at Judgment Day, and then you go to AEW, look at Christian, look at how Jungle Boy came out of that. Like, granted, a bunch of things happened, but you look how Jungle Boy turned, like how they utilized Jungle Boy from that stable he was in with Christian. And House of Black is being sort of turned into something, and it's just nothing with Jericho is going to work because Jericho is putting himself first in every stable that he's in.
Right. And like I said, every single stable has been the same thing where everyone worships Jericho. You're with me because I'm the great Jericho and I will take you to the promised land.
Even when he's the butt of the joke.
You're talking about like stables. Let's talk about, the way the show closed. The Elite Jack Perry's been elevated like the second this whole thing started playing out and he was with them, and now here we see it. He gets the big win to close the show, 5-year anniversary that ends with the the EVPs holding Jack Perry up on their shoulders, raising him high. So it really does seem like this stable will be elevating Jack Perry. You can already watch it as he's getting big wins, big moments. Literally, they are propelling, they're holding him up, putting him on the pedestal. You know what I mean? And like with Jericho, you never really get that. So I'm hoping for the best with Jericho. It's just something has to change. And for that to change, he needs to know that it has to change. And so I don't know if he knows. You know?
He has to stop making himself the butt of every joke, like the Jericho Appreciation Society, the sports entertainer, the knowledge tree, the whatever, the learning tree, whatever he's calling himself now.
Right.
It's like he's taking a sarcastic like jab at himself, and it's just like it's becoming ridiculous now.
Yeah.
He's always making fun of himself because the Festival of Friendship worked with KO and the list. It's like certain things work and certain things don't, and now he's still doing it, and it just looks ridiculous. And because
You know what it is also, like in WWE, we talk about the great things he did and how a lot of them were his ideas. He came up with this, he tried this, it got over, so then he did that. But like I just do think the WWE vibe was different, where like, yeah, he was able to do this. He had the creative freedom to pitch, to do things on TV and just try things. At the same time, he also had a whole company filled with people who would say, hey, maybe not do this. Maybe this isn't good. Or he'd have the producers who would say, well, maybe instead of doing it this way, you tweak it, and he'd be like, oh my God, that's a good idea. I don't think he has that in AEW because he is kind of that role. So he kind of can just do whatever he wants. And I think he has been doing whatever he wants. And he comes up with all these ideas, and he is creative, and he is great at it. But I do feel like if he was in WWE, the quality of the ideas that we got to see actually happen would be a lot better, because we wouldn't be getting every single idea. He wouldn't be throwing them at the wall and that wall being on television every week. You know what I mean?
Right.
But going back to the main event with the Elite and defeating FTR, Bryan Danielson, and Darby Allin, this match was fire. Oh wait, no, that was Jack Perry. He was on fire, right?
That was insane. Also, Tony Khan rolling down the ramp, but like forcing himself rolling down the ramp cracked me up. I was laughing
that roll
so
was
hard.
so funny.
I
That
did
was
like
so
Jack
funny.
Perry looking at the camera and then grabbing Tony Khan. I thought that was fun.
I thought this match was, it was anarchy in the arena. You kind of knew what you were gonna get. Darby Allin is trying to be like an action figure villain, like so bad. Like you see him with the fucking flamethrower in the mask, you're like, okay, where's that action figure? Because some Matt Cardona is looking for it right now.
Do you know what I thought was going to happen? When they put Darby Allin in the elevator and then sunk it down, I thought Sting was going to come back up. I was like, that would have been
that
fun.
would be awesome. That would have been dope.
I was like, they're having everybody come back right now. I was like, why not? Just have Sting come. Yeah, this was a lot of debauchery. It was.
This isn't me asking for him to come back because I hope he enjoys his retirement.
Oh yeah, me
but
too.
I do miss Sting. I do miss Sting
I miss Sting
with
too.
Darby.
One of my big critiques about this match was the opening when they kept changing music. I thought that was so fucking stupid. I was like, they were like, play our music. No, now play our music. I thought that was very dumb. Like all this was dumb and silly, but fun. The music thing was so stupid. I was like, this is so stupid and unnecessary. Just stop. Stop. That was my big problem with this match.
Fair enough. I mean, I think that's kind of just them trying to push the whole EVP thing of where they're going to give instructions from the camera as much as possible because it is annoying. So I think you're actually supposed to respond the way you are. It's just more of they're doing it on purpose to fuck with you.
I guess. I don't know. I just thought it was fucking weird. Darby drowning Jack Perry in the ice bucket made me laugh. Yeah.
No, this match was wild.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on. It was a lot. I was like, Darby Allin, the flamethrower. It made me think of Spaceballs. there's a lot going on.
And then back to like stables and benefiting people, because stables really are put together to elevate and to get as many people involved in a successful act as possible. I do think that, like, granted, I'm kind of ready for Killswitch, formerly Luchasaurus, to do something different. I'm kind of ready for anything different with him. Like, we've seen him be the silent muscle for just his entire AEW run. At this point, he should get elevated. But I do think everything Christian Cage is doing is working, and it is designed. Like, yes, he's the highlight, he's the star, and it's kind of similar in that obviously the people in his stable are worshiping him. But it does kind of seem like with these people, he's putting eyes on people that there weren't on before. And I do think Nick Wayne is going to come out of this better than he ever was beforehand. Like, this is the best way to utilize him, I think. And so I loved I love the whole presentation of Cage and his family, his stable. I do think it was a smart decision to not have him beat Swerve, at least not just yet.
I'm also not a huge fan of Nick Wayne's mom being there. I'm not a big fan of that. Everything else I'm fine. I like the Warriors entrance. I thought that was cool. This match, yeah, I really like Swerve. And Christian can still go. I was watching him and I was like,
no, he never stopped. Yeah, he's never stopped.
Yeah, I was a big fan. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I just want people to evolve. I feel like Christian does help. He helps the people that he takes under his wing elevate a little bit. I feel like you said Killswitch. I feel like let's move on and like get you some stuff instead of just being like a heavy.
Like I don't even mean he needs to split from Christian, but Christian maybe should also, and maybe I'm off because it would kind of go against the Christian character. I just want to see him also be invested in their success.
Right.
But once again, like, that's not the Christian character. The Christian we're getting is that these people worship me because I'm their father. I'm the best thing that happened to them. So yes, I will be champion. I will be in charge. It's all about me, me, me.
Right.
And would this Christian really want to see Killswitch become the TNT champion, or Killswitch and Nick Wayne become tag champions? Would he actually care? Maybe if like he held the tag team titles around and just called himself the tag team champion and had them defend him for him, that could work. That could be cool. I mean, but it's like, even when Killswitch won the TNT title, Christian basically said, "I'm the TNT champion," right? And then eventually became it. So
there's a path where you do something really crazy. I mean, everybody in the Elite has a title except Jack Perry. You have Christian eventually get the title. You have Luchasaurus eventually turn on Christian, take the title off Christian, give it to an AEW guy. You have Jack Perry take it off Luchasaurus because they have a history. But you would have to keep the titles in the Elite for that long. I mean, this is where I say, like, okay, you're dealing with everybody that has stories. Like Tony Khan, play within stories that already exist.
Right.
You've now like built last night around the fact that you have 5 years of stories in there. You have Jack Perry that you built into this thing. You have Luchasaurus that's kind of stuck in this thing with Christian. Find a way to have them cross paths and have them be where they are. They have a story together. Put them together. Make them something interesting together. You have Christian over here. You have Edge over here. You played that too early. Keep them away from each other. You have the Elite over here. Like, you have 5 years of stories. You have MJF coming back, but Adam Cole might not be ready. So you still have a majority of the pillars here. Do something there. Like, there's just stuff that you can do that have stories built in that who knows what he's going to do. Like, Wednesday will be a big time. I might go Wednesday night since it's over here.
Oh, is it?
Cool.
Oh, nice.
It's at the Forum.
Do it.
I mean, I have COVID. I have to see.
Oh, don't do it.
Yeah, maybe take this one off. But yeah, I mean, I think this was a good pay-per-view. Probably will not, at the end of the year, we probably won't be talking about this as one of my favorite pay-per-views from AEW. They've already put on better ones. Like I said, just a tad overbooked, but a lot of talkable moments coming out of this one. A lot of returns, a lot of turns, a lot of appearances.
I
surprises.
I found the Moxley match a little weird because I know this wasn't for the title, but it was for like to eventually have a title match. And it's like, but then
Eliminator
why
match,
have
yeah.
him lose?
Right. I agree with that. I
It
agree
was a
with you
very, it was
100%.
very
That's
weird
exactly
booking.
what I
In my,
thought.
me and my friends were timing how long it was going to take Moxley to bleed. He bled on his back in like 5.5 minutes, but no head stuff. But yeah, it was just a very weird situation because I'm like, okay, it's for a future title match, but then why have him lose? And then is he gonna? So now he's not having him gonna face Moxley ever again? It was very weird
Yeah.
booking on my part. It was a good match. It was a very good match, but it was
No, I
very
agree. It's kind of like we got Superman Moxley, where nothing can take him down, and because you
weird.
are putting an eliminator match on a pay-per-view, it does seem like, and especially with him, he's with the Don Callis family. You kind of like they're presenting the Callis family as a strong unit, so you kind of
Right.
think they need to get as many wins as possible, and that would set up another match that Moxley then could win because then the title would have been on the line. So I agree with you. I would have booked it differently,
Yeah, it was just very
but
weird.
what you gonna do?
What are we gonna do?
Let's find out if we would have booked our king and queen of the rings differently. We've got royalty people. Nia Jax is the queen, and Gunther is the king.
Yeah, just like me and John said.
Fuck you guys.
I did like that before the match, and the same that they did with Double or Nothing, that King of the Ring means something now, and same with Queen, that they get future title shots. Same with the Owen Hart Championship that they're doing that the Owen Hart, whoever wins that, they get a title shot at, I think it's at All In, they get a title shot. So I like that they're doing that it's not just having a, an accolade, you're actually getting something out of it.
Agreed. I mean, I've been saying that forever.
Right.
Like the best King of the Rings were always the ones where they won it, and then they were able to go on
Yeah.
to use that royalty, use that crown to pretty much exchange it for some gold.
Yes.
And go from King of the Ring to champion. That was definitely going to happen for William Regal when he became King of the Ring. He was definitely supposed to become the champion if he didn't like get suspended and all that
But
crazy shit. So I think.
I hate that they give a time and place because now they have to meet that goal. Like it's the same way I feel about the Royal Rumble, where now Cody won and then all of that shit happened because they had to now they had to get from point A to point B. Same thing with SummerSlam. They have like 3 matches before that. I guess it makes sense because they have Clash at the Castle, which I'm assuming 100% Drew McIntyre is going to have to win now. So it's like, it's just it's a weird thing that now Gunther has to be in the main event at SummerSlam. So they have to move all these pieces around, which means it sucks for Damian Priest because he's probably not leaving. I mean, he wasn't going to leave anyway, but he hasn't had a lot of title defenses. He's most likely not leaving SummerSlam with the title. He's probably not leaving Clash at the Castle with the title. How many title defenses is he going to have before that? Unless CM Punk costs Drew McIntyre the title in his home country. And that, like, it's just, and then you have SummerSlam as headlined by Damian Priest versus Gunther, which means nothing. Like, that's not a headlining match for me. So it's just a weird thing when you start putting people in these absolute matches, which is like, I would have preferred King and Queen get to pick a time and place. This way you have some flexibility with when they get their match.
I agree with that, but then you kind of make the King of the Ring a Money in the Bank thing. Like then it's too similar,
which I like.
Because then
I
you
like
can kind
that.
of determine it. I mean, I get it, but I just don't. I think that's why they're not going to do it. That's probably why they did it this way.
I don't think it's a cash in. I think you have to.
Announce it ahead of time, right? I get
it. I think it's more of a, hey, this is when I'm cashing it in, rather than a run out and this I'm handing in my crown. But
see, like the weird thing here is I don't actually know if either of these king and queens are actually lock solid on becoming champion. I mean, I don't, you know what I mean? Like Gunther could win the title at SummerSlam, and then I'm pretty sure like either the next pay-per-view or the pay-per-view after that is in Germany. So like maybe they want him to be champion when they go there to his fictional homeland. But it's like with Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre facing Clash of the Castle, I don't know what they're doing. I almost think they might be setting up Judgment Day to turn on Damian. And maybe that's how, because I want to believe that Damian's going to get a solid reign, but you're right. They're putting up way too many roadblocks and they're too high names. So it's like Drew in his hometown, in his home country. Does Drew really lose? As you said, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like maybe CM Punk does cost him the title.
That's what I
But
thought.
once again, this is stupid logic because CM Punk would be better off with Drew retaining it, and then he attacks Drew. But CM Punk's petty, so he might cost Drew that title in his home
But to
country.
me, and to me, like, yeah, Drew's in his hometown, and I kind of like this version of Drew. But to me, and I've said this a million times, I'm a story guy. I would much rather prefer to see Finn Balor versus Damian Priest than Drew versus Damian Priest. There's no story there for me. So if you get if you get Finn versus Damian Priest, that's a match I want to see because they've been teasing that for over a year now.
Right.
So
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's very
the
weird
whole
how they're getting the title shots at SummerSlam.
yeah, and I don't think Nia Jax is going to beat Bailey at SummerSlam either. And so this is the danger. And once again, like Gunther might lose at SummerSlam as well. So let's hypothetically live in that world for a second. Let's say Gunther loses at SummerSlam. Let's say Nia Jax loses at SummerSlam. Does that hurt both King and Queen reigns within, let's say, a month of becoming king and queen? You've now lost your title opportunity. You don't get to go on to become champion. But for that next year, you're still king and queen. You're still going to have that crown. You're still acting like it means something when we've already seen, yeah, you're
Right.
king, great. You're not champ, and it's because you lost. So I think this is almost a little bit dangerous. In the past, when I'm thinking of King and Queen or King of the Rings that got title shots, most of them did win. And the King crown was kind of on the path to their push that was happening. We kind of knew Kurt Angle was going to be future champion. You knew Brock Lesnar was going to be future champion. So when they won King and then got the titles, you're like, okay, this makes sense. This tracks. Like Gunther makes the most sense, but Nia Jax, I don't think. Like I think her being Queen of the Ring was perfect because I don't see her becoming women's champion anytime so soon. That's why.
It makes
Same with Gunther,
sense.
kind of. I thought they were going to keep Gunther away from the title.
It makes sense if she's going to win the title and join the bloodline. If that's going to happen, then I would be for it because it seems like they want to build this new thing before Roman comes back. In which case, if you're going to have, because it seems like they're doing this Survivor Series War Games. So if you're going to add Nia into that, you could have Naomi join Roman and the Usos to be the fourth member of that, and you could have like a intergender War Games match. So it kind of makes sense if Nia has the championship, but she could do it without the title. Yeah, I don't know. I still think she's going to join the bloodline before Roman gets
Like once again, I think she was the best pick for Queen of the Ring. Very excited to see her get the crown. I do feel like the fact that immediately, yes, she's Queen of the Ring, but she's also number one contender right now. And so that means that within a month and a half, whenever it is, she will no longer be number one contender. She might be champion, which boom, great Queen of the Ring. But once again, I don't think that's likely. So now, does that crown mean just a little bit less? And keep in mind, Zelina Vega, they really didn't do anything with her as queen. So this is your first chance to really make Queen of the Ring count. So I'm curious how they keep Nia strong in a world where she is the queen, but doesn't really have the crown.
I think Tiffany should have been Queen of the Ring just because they weren't going to give her the title right now.
I think Tiffany's going to be Money in the Bank, though. Like I'm fine with Tiffany. I'm fine waiting on Tiff. Liv Morgan, former Money in the Bank winner, now current champion, beats Becky Lynch, and all because Dominic Mysterio traveled all the way to Saudi Arabia to make sure that Liv did not get her hands on Mommy's championship.
Oops, she
did
it again.
That's right.
And Becky can't get no satisfaction. That was a Britney Spears homage, in case you guys didn't know.
You got one more in you?
No, because I just did their dances from their appropriate attire. I'm done now. Baby, I can't hit you one more time. Wow,
But yeah,
nothing?
I like this decision. I like that Liv's Revenge Tour finally got the title that it needed. I'm curious to see where we go from here. I'm also curious to see how much longer until Rhea's back. Because it did kind of seem like when she relinquished it, she said like, I don't know, the rumors I was hearing was kind of like 3 to 4 months, which
Mm.
means that we could be pretty close already. Does Rhea immediately take it back? It really seems like, so the teases have been there with Dom and Liv, but apparently this past week on Raw, Finn Balor was seen getting out of a car, and then later Liv is getting out of that same car. So like once again, they're
Gross.
now teasing that it's not just a Dom Liv thing, that maybe Liv is infiltrating the Judgment Day. Damien's relationship with Rhea is obviously very well what am I looking for? People know about it.
Yeah.
But
Aware
so
of it?
so like yeah, he would never co-sign that. So we were talking earlier about maybe Finn Balor, turning on Damien, and that's what we get. Is it really going to be Finn, Dom, JD, and Liv? Like, do we get a new Judgment Day? Does Liv steal ever? She's been saying it. She tells us, I'm taking everything that Rhea has ever had and ever loved. So that's not just her poppy. That is her family.
Right. I mean, I thought that this is the correct way to do it. Give it a live, and then when and then when Rhea comes back, and then they fight for it. So I'm totally okay with this. And I think Becky's taking time off.
Yeah,
I
much
think it's
needed time
finally
off. She
much
was supposed to
needed
take
time
off a
off.
while ago. Yeah.
And I
Right.
think Liv's gonna have it for a while. I think when Rhea challenges her for it, she's gonna lose. I think Becky's gonna probably beat her the first time, and they're gonna stretch this out.
Becky's gonna beat who?
I sorry, not Becky. I think Rhea's gonna Rhea's when Rhea challenges
Gotcha.
for the title, I think Liv is gonna beat her.
Right. I agree. I think so too. Yeah. Speaking of Becky's vacation, it is going to have to wait at least one more week. Her rematch clause is happening tonight on
Steel
Monday Night
cage
Raw.
match. Just
Is it?
announced. Just announced.
What is it?
Oh, steel cage.
Yeah.
Ooh. Ooh, baby.
I
Yeah.
wonder if Dom tries to get involved again this
I
time,
wonder
cage
if it's
match
gonna be
style.
Dom or just Judgment Day in general. It could be an interesting match.
Yeah, speaking of things that might be interesting tonight, apparently, I think it just happened today. Um, People who were playing WWE 2K24 are
Oh
noticing
yeah.
that on one of the online things there was a QR code appearing via the video game,
The
and
load
that of course
screen.
takes you to another video, a lot more clues. Some people are I've been getting too excited, so I'm trying to like just listen. When it happens, it happens. I'm done getting my hopes up to think that it's finally gonna happen. But the rumors are that maybe tonight we could finally start getting at least some real life clues, maybe meeting one of these members, seeing who else is being abducted by this person, thing, what have you. Maybe somebody's uncle. But yeah, it seems like we might be finally getting closer to some answers. And these videos are starting to get very creepy and very cool. I know people have been saying they've been going on for too long. I'm one of those people, but the
Yeah.
video qualities have always been very high for me. So I do enjoy the ride they're taking me on.
Yeah, I'm just for me the supposed members of the group are all people that would probably benefit more being on SmackDown. So I just feel like that's probably where they would debut. But who knows? Who knows?
Interesting. I guess interesting. See, for me, I feel like, I mean, I guess you're probably right with that. I just feel like with a stable like this that you're dedicating so much time to, you want to make sure you've got time on every show. Feels more like it would make more sense to get them on the 3 hour show.
Yeah, that's what I was
Just that,
thinking
but
also.
yeah. I also wouldn't mind if, at least in the beginning, as we figure out who this group is and what they're here to do. I mean, the QR codes have been everywhere, as it's the video game, but also they've been on Raw, they've been on SmackDown, they've been on the pay-per-view, I think even NXT. So I wouldn't mind if we got introduced to them on all the shows before, Nick Aldis or Pierce eventually decide to make their claim to them and say, listen, I'm signing this group of psychopaths. Doing it for the people.
Doing it for the people.
But yeah, and also in terms of things that are back, Sonya Deville is back. She made her appearance last week on Raw in a backstage segment. Very excited to see Sonya Deville recovered and back. Curious what's next for her. The last we saw her, she was tag team champions with Chelsea Green, had to drop that title, and then I believe it was Piper who kind of just took the title. They obviously are no longer champions. Do we get Chelsea and Sonya back together? Does Sonya kind of have to do her own thing because Chelsea and Piper are kind of killing it on SmackDown right now? But very happy to see Sonya Deville back and better than ever.
Yeah, I love Sonya Deville. I'm very happy she's back.
Sonya should be getting her singles run now. She's a great competitor.
Yeah.
I don't think
she's come so far too.
Yeah, I don't think she needs to be in a tag team right now.
Yeah, I'm with that. Also, I don't really think Jade and Bianca are going to drop those titles anytime soon. I could be wrong since Bianca's knee injury seems to be sticking around for the time being. So as a champion and her being Bianca Belair, the EST, I'm sure she's going to be a fighting champion. They're probably going to have matches every week. So that knee injury is just going to only get worse and worse. It's kind of just a big target. Who is going to hit that target and cash in on the tag team titles? That is really the question. But for now, I think Jade and Bianca have a stranglehold on those belts. So yeah, it probably wouldn't be in Sonya's best interest to be in a tag team at all. Though Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler, I believe, are the #1 contenders for the title. So Shayna and Zoe versus Bianca and Jade could be a fun one. And Shayna is not a person you want to be in the ring with if you have any type of injury. She will focus on it. So maybe these are the girls that decide to really cash in and get the title, reaping the benefits of Bianca's injury.
Maybe. Yeah. I'm looking forward to all this. I don't really know I don't know what's gonna happen with the tag teams or any of this stuff. It's all up in the air.
Well said, Danielle.
Ha! Just saying.
Just saying. I don't actually know, people. I mean,
don't know.
Nobody knows. But just in case you're curious, I don't know either.
I don't know either. Did you like the Intercontinental Championship match?
Okay, that's not how you do it.
Why
you
not?
sit quiet and let me segue, okay?
But I sat quiet and you sat quiet. So I was like, what's happening?
Shush. Speaking of things that we don't know what's going to happen next, we don't know what's going to happen with Chad Gable and Otis. Because after what happened with the Intercontinental Championship, question marks. Otis tried to help Chad. Chad got in his head, was like, you need to do it. And Otis accidentally took out Chad. So Sammy is still champion. I wanted to believe that Otis was going to be on the dark side, like helping Chad win, helping Chad become champion, an unwilling participant, but still doing it. And I feel like Otis is good enough and has a strong enough connection with the audience where he'd be able to maintain, he'd still remain over. Despite cheating for Chad and hurting people for Chad and helping Chad become champion, I think the fans would get louder for Otis every single week. They would get hype for him, and the eventual turn would blow the roof off the place. Otis was a huge victim of the COVID. Him and Mandy had such a good story going, and that shit just got dropped real quick. They made him Money in the Bank winner for a reason, but then of course they decided to just bail on that. So really Otis deserves a push just as much as Chad does. And I'm worried that Otis is going to turn on Chad very soon, and it's not going to involve the title. And I don't think either of them benefit that much from it. Maybe Otis a little bit, depending on how over the crowd really gets for him. But then Chad's kind of has to start over again. I just feel like the best way for them to do this is to put that title on Chad, make Otis the reason why, give us 3 to 4 months of Otis being really torn about the things he's doing and the crowd getting louder and louder. I just feel like that's what you do.
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense.
But will they do it is the question. I
I
don't think
don't
so.
know. I was looking forward to seeing if Chad would have won this match, but Sammy was the right call, obviously, because of where they were. And I just think Sammy's going to hold the title for a little bit, but I don't know when they're. I mean, I feel like Chad should have the title. I love Sammy having the title, but I feel like Chad is the person to have the title. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
Chad's an absolute monster. He's a beast. That over 500-pound German suplex to both of them was insane.
Right.
Like people just can't do it like Chad. So it's like if you're going to push him and it seems like they are, you gotta go the full way. Just make him champion. Let that story get told for a few months.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
Just
don't
have.
need Logan Paul as champion, and that's why he lost the world championship match. Cody Rhodes not letting him get anywhere near the richest prize in WWE. But Logan Paul did give us some viral moments again. Logan Paul can go, man. Logan Paul does it. And that drone shot
Oh,
of
yeah. That was
his
cool.
frog splash was sick. Very well shot.
I do hate when people take too long on the top rope. I noticed that in Double or Nothing and this. I'm like, okay, I understand the drone shot, but hurry up. Hurry up. He's not gonna lay on the ring on the mat forever. He's not gonna lay on the table forever.
Yeah, but Logan Paul's still kind of green mentally. So, he's not thinking about
Yeah.
those things.
Do you
He's
know
just trying to go viral.
I read something that the reason they didn't have the Prime logo in the ring is because Saudi Arabia is very strict on energy drink policies. Like they're very against energy drinks and they didn't want the logo on the mat.
Well, they're not even Prime. I don't even think it's classified as an energy drink anymore. I forget what he's calling it, but it's something completely different.
Yeah, but
So
they're probably like,
that's
fuck this
that's
noise.
funny,
Yeah. They're
right?
like,
They're
fuck.
like, you're
So
an
he's like,
energy
I'm
drink
just
and we
gonna
don't want
drink.
it.
He's like, I'm just gonna drink it consistently and give everyone it.
That's funny.
This man's a genius. It's ridiculous.
Just under a genius.
Oh, under a genius. I'm sorry. Just under a genius. Yeah. I enjoyed this match though. I thought it was fun. He can go. I'm okay with this being a celebrity that is constantly in matches. Like he puts in the work and he does a good job and I'm for it.
So, it's just what you make of Logan Paul?
I like him. I think he's the perfect heel. I think he would do really well as a baby face if they could ever find a way to make him a baby face. I think that's going to be very, very hard to do. He's just so hateable, but he seems to have everybody's respect, which is not easy to do when you're an outsider like he is. But he also, like Danielle said, he comes in, he does the work, and it shows. He's coming in and he's impressing everybody. He's not scared to do the dives off the top rope. He's not scared to take those that finisher that Cody gave him that could have paralyzed him that was supposedly banned. Yeah, I like him, and I'm gonna like him even more when he loses it at in Cleveland to LA Knight.
Oh shit! I love
I
it.
hope
I
they
love that
do.
shot. I love it. I hope that happens.
That place is gonna go nuts.
They were putting him so over LA Knight. I fucking love LA Knight.
In fact,
He's
it's funny because as you were talking, I was trying to think. I'm like, how are they going to get Logan Paul really hated in Cleveland? Like, granted, I don't know. Maybe Cleveland hates him already. Like, maybe they really have no pride when it comes to Logan Paul. They're like, we don't claim this asshole. Fuck him. But normally, wrestling fans just love cheering for somebody who came from their hometown. So, like, I was scratching my head. How are they going to do it? That makes no sense because LA Knight is still piping hot.
right.
It's so time for him to get a singles title. And yeah, SummerSlam's a big enough pay-per-view. A Logan Paul match in Cleveland's a big enough moment. So yeah, I really hope you're right on that one. So sis, I do.
Yeah, and I mean he's gonna. I mean, there's ways. They'll have him shit talk Cleveland just to make sure nobody supports him. Like because
Right.
they made him they make him say by way of Puerto Rico. He doesn't even get announced as from Cleveland.
That's funny.
So
Where they bill LA Knight from again? What'd you say?
Los Angeles.
Is it
Oh
because
no, or
no.
Springfield.
Oh, Springfield. Because he looks like a Simpsons
It's either
character.
Los Angeles or Massachusetts. One of them.
Oh. Oh, I hope he wins. That'd be awesome. He needs to win something. I feel like this needs to
Crazy.
be
He gets the biggest pop everywhere he goes.
everywhere. He got a huge pop in Saudi Arabia. When
Yeah.
they panned to him, it was fire.
I would love it if he was set up to win the 2025 Royal Rumble. Like, I think that should be their goal. Let's build him up to the point. I think a U.S. Championship win around now, at SummerSlam would be perfect. Give him a decent, I don't know, 4 or 5 month run. Drops it just in time to graduate to Royal Rumble winner and WrestleMania main eventer. I would love it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Who do we think is winning Money in the Bank for the men? I don't know. When's Money in the Bank?
I mean, before this whole King of the Ring number one contender thing, I kind of thought Gunther was gonna.
Right.
There was a good chance Gunther would win.
I mean, Money in the Bank.
And there's also a time where I thought LA Knight could be a good Money in the Bank winner.
Yeah, agreed.
A few people said it was going to be either LA Knight, Finn Balor, or AJ Styles to give AJ that one last title run.
See, Finn Balor makes so much sense if Damian holds the title for a long time.
Yeah.
Right.
But
I said, with
the roadblocks,
Damian just has to hold it. Like Finn Balor could cash it in that night.
But then
until Money in the Bank, which is what, 2 months?
But that's not nearly fun enough. Like, the fun of giving Finn Balor Money in the Bank briefcase would be Damian Priest being champion throughout that. And then you constantly have them talking about it and, Damian having to look over his shoulder. Is Finn, the teases and Finn talking about, oh yeah, I'm going to go to SmackDown to cash in on this person, but I'm here with you, buddy, to support you, buddy. And he's got the briefcase. Well, why'd you bring that if you don't need it? Never travel without it. Like, that stuff would be where the fun comes from.
Yeah.
You can't just skip right to it. We need some foreplay on this one.
Never skip on foreplay.
Nope.
With that being said, thank you guys so much for listening to us this week. If you don't already follow us on social media, we are at the Heel Marks. If you listen to our podcast, we are everywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. Obviously, we're your favorite podcast, so you know exactly where to listen. Remember, guys, we're not just smart marks, we're heel marks.
They're not just smart, they're heel marks. They're not just smart, they're heel marks. They're not just smart, they're heel marks.